Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, a new survey reveals what Israelis think about the U.S. presidential candidates. A rare discovery is made in Jerusalem, and ILTV has an exclusive interview with Israel's top music diva. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. The Israeli government recently approved a mixed-gender prayer area at the Western Wall, but not everyone in the Prime Minister's coalition is happy about it. Despite the growing opposition, the Israeli Prime Minister is still showing his support for the historical move. Prime Minister Netanyahu says he's committed to building an egalitarian prayer area at the Western Wall, despite growing opposition from rabbis and political allies. The cabinet approved a historic mixed-gender area for prayer at Judaism's holiest site, but Israel's chief Orthodox rabbis disagree with the move. Ultra-Orthodox members of the Prime Minister's coalition are also slamming the decision, but Netanyahu's office says he's committed to upholding the government's plan. Despite the controversy, rabbis from the Reform movement continue to praise the historical move. The new mixed-gender area is set to be located under Robinson's Arch and would be separate from the traditional prayer areas. Plus, it wouldn't be under the control of the Orthodox chief rabbis. So what do Western Wall visitors have to say about the new plan? It seems that there are also a lot of mixed opinions.
There is no need to be together.
זה מצוין. כל פעם שאני באה אני חושבת למה שהצד של האנשים כל כך קטן ואני לא אוהבת את זה.
זה אסור על פי ההלכה. זה נגד היהדות.
לשלול את זה לגמרי, השם ישמור. זה סמל דתי. ואורתודוקסי, אנחנו במדינה פה אורתודוקסים.
לא כולם חרדים, יש גם, את יודעת, המגזר הלייט, מה שנקרא, שיכול גם להתפלל לצד דברים, למה לא?
It's maybe not tradition for some, but praying together brings a bond that symbolizes what God's looking for in each of us, that intimate relationship. So I think when men and women pray together, we come closer to God in that way.
I don't think that it's appropriate in terms of halacha and what the Rebbeim say. But I think that it's nice that there's going to be like equality. It's from a religious standpoint, I don't know that it's the best solution.
Controversy aside, the real question is whether or not visitors will end up praying at the Western Wall's new gender-mixed plaza.
לא, חס וחלילה.
ממש לא.
Absolutely, yes, because there's a personal connection with us and then there's a personal connection with God that makes it very special.
No, because I'm used to the traditional way.
לא, למקום הזה לא. רק אני הולך למקום גברים ואשתי למקום נשים.
No. The regular section, the separate section.
Israel and Egypt are cracking down on terror, and both countries are making a number of arrests to keep terrorist groups from carrying out attacks. The Egyptian government says a Muslim Brotherhood conspired with Hamas members to assassinate prosecutor Hisham Barakat. 14 people have been arrested in connection with the attack, which killed 64-year-old Barakat in a car bombing last June. Egypt says Muslim Brotherhood leaders in Turkey ordered the attack, but Hamas supervised it and provided the training and explosives.
وإنه هذا المخطط كان منطلقه التوجيه الصادر من القيادات الإخوانية الإرهابية الهاربة بتركيا وبالتنسيق مع الذراع الآخر المسلح لجماعة الإخوان المسلمين في غزة وهو حركة حماس التي ضلعت بدور كبير جدا في تنفيذ هذا المخطط وفي تنفيذ عملية اغتيال النائب العام بشكل خاص وأشرفت على العملية منذ بدايتها حتى انتهاء تنفيذها.
Egypt says it's a huge conspiracy and includes a number of other terrorist operations and assassination attempts. Unsurprisingly, Hamas is denying the accusations.
اللي احنا استطعنا خلال الفترة اللي فاتت كشف هذه المؤامرة بالكامل وهي كانت مؤامرة كبرى بدأت منذ فترة طويلة واستمرت وكان يمكن آخر حادث كبير أسفنا له جميعا كان حادث اغتيال الشهيد البطل ومجموعة أخرى من العمليات الإرهابية الكبرى للتخريب والتفجير واغتيال كبار الشخصيات.
Egypt isn't the only one making arrests. The Shin Bet also announced the arrest of 33-year-old West Bank resident Najib Mustafa Nazal. The Israeli security services say Nazal recruited terrorists in Cairo and sent them to the Gaza Strip to train with Hamas. That's apparently not all he did. He also allegedly helped them enter the West Bank to carry out attacks against Israeli targets. Nazal moved to Cairo in 2007 and was arrested in the West Bank at the end of January. Wondering what Israelis think about the U.S. presidential candidates? Well, according to a new survey, most Israelis prefer frontrunners Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. The Israel Democracy Institute survey indicates that Trump is garnering the most support for being perceived as pro-Israel, with 61% saying he was positive towards the Jewish state. Yet only 34% of Israelis reportedly think a Republican would be better for Israel than a Democrat. When it comes to the Democrats, more than 3 times as many Israelis prefer Clinton over the Jewish candidate Bernie Sanders. Sanders hasn't mentioned his Jewish identity much throughout his campaign, but he says it doesn't mean he's not proud of being Jewish. During a presidential debate last night, moderator Anderson Cooper asked a Vermont senator if he was intentionally keeping his Jewishness in the background. This is how Sanders responded.
I am very proud to be Jewish, and being Jewish is so much of what I am. Look, my father's family was wiped out by Hitler in the Holocaust. I know about what crazy and radical and extremist politics mean. I learned that lesson as a tiny, tiny child when my mother would take me shopping and we would see people working in stores who had numbers on their arms because they were in Hitler's concentration camp. I am very proud of being Jewish, and that is an essential part of who I am as a human being.
We have a real treat for you today. The Israeli Madonna is here in the studio with us. Rita is perhaps the most famous female singer in Israel, and she's been topping charts for the last 30 years. The Israeli Persian diva is not only a singing sensation in Israel, she's also become an underground pop star in Iran with her unique music in Farsi and Hebrew. Check it out. Rita, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
So, you know, you've been performing for over 30 years. You're still on top. How have you managed to dominate the market like this?
Oh, it's not dominate. It's, I think it's loving this, what I'm doing. I'm living my dreams, you know.
Absolutely.
So I think it's passion. It's passion, and it's a lot of love to people. To give love and to have love
and
back.
So your most recent album is in Farsi, and it's not very common to hear about an Israeli star singing in Farsi. What is the story behind this?
Well, I was born in Iran. I was 8 years old when we left to Israel, and I always, you know, heard Iranian music, Persian music. My mother, she has a beautiful voice, and so the Iranian music, the lyrics, everything is, you know, is in my blood.
And that's a crazy experience to come from Iran to Israel. What was that experience like?
Well, it was hard. I can say that, you know, it's not easy. And I experienced a complete different culture, you know, from the Iranian people to the Israeli people.
Of course, but so what is it like to balance, you know, this Persian and Israeli identity you have in Israel? You know, how have Israelis received your music in Farsi, for example?
I think when I told my colleagues and friends that I'm recording a whole album in Persian, they were really in shock and they were amazed. They said, "What? Are you insane? You're going to record a whole record in Ahmadinejad's," it was Ahmadinejad's time, "you're going to record in Ahmadinejad's language? Are you crazy? Who will want to listen
Have you seen
to that
the news?
in Israel?"
Right.
Well, it has, this negative context. And I didn't care. I felt really something that I can't explain, and it's not the reason, it's the heart that I should do that. And now I understand why, because I think that God has its own way to show you things. I think it had the power to connect. And I saw how the Iranian people from Iran, they wrote me so many amazing emails about how they love my music, me, my country, Israel.
Yeah,
we don't want anything bad to happen to Israel and not to you, and you can bring peace with your voice and with your message. So I believe that it is very important what happened.
I mean, how does it make you feel to see that you have these Iranian citizens and these Israeli citizens who all love and enjoy your music? What has that kind of taught you about the power of music, in the face of politics?
Well, I believe that politicians did only our world harder and tougher and crueler, because I think we are the people, are much more simple people, that we want really to live in peace and we want to live our lives. And because of the ego and money and I don't know, power, the brainwashes us. Yeah, they make some brainwash that we hate those people or this country. We don't hate anyone. We are, let's say, the Iranian people. We were in an amazing relationship with them for 2,500 years, from the days of Cyrus, and suddenly few people decided that now there's a war, and that's it. And I think that as much as the sound of the war and hatred will be, we are the artist, and we have to shout louder the music and the connection between us, and to speak language of compassion and love.
Absolutely. So we understand that you're actually going to be performing in the United States in May. Where are you going to be performing?
New York, Palo Alto, and Los Angeles.
So everybody can look forward to you coming. I mean, do you feel like you're an ambassador for Israel when you travel and you perform abroad?
Of course, of course, of course.
What does it mean to be an Israeli artist abroad, in your opinion?
Well, because of the very delicate situation that we are in Israel, we have to defend ourselves, but still we have, a lot of problems with our neighbors that I think we should have sometime we should be in peace with them, because we can all live in peace together. Absolutely. I believe that, but we need two strong leaders from that side and from that side to say now it's the time. But it doesn't happen. So we need, to work hard to explain first the situation of the Israeli people, that all the time we live in danger. All the time we don't know, you're going out with your children, or your children, they go out, and you don't know what will happen if someone will bomb you or something. So It is very, very complicated and difficult, and we have to explain that. And still, we have to say the truth that we want to live in peace with our neighbors.
Well, and I think, the music that you've created had such a positive influence on Israel's international relations, with citizens of other countries who listen and love your music. So really congratulations for all of the amazing work that you've done, and thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you.
Yet another historical discovery has been made in the Holy Land. Israeli archaeologists have uncovered 2 ancient seals in Jerusalem that are apparently over 2,500 years old. They're calling the discovery rare and exceptional, and we'll tell you why.
The 2 ancient seals were discovered just outside of Jerusalem's Old City, and the Israeli Antiquities Authority says one of them belonged to an affluent woman. The Temple-era seal made of semi-precious stone bears the name Elihana bat Gael, and the authority says that it's extremely rare to find a seal belonging to a female. In the Temple area, women generally had an inferior economic status, but it looks like Elihana was the exception. It appears as though Elihana had the legal status necessary to conduct business and possess property, and maintained her right to property and financial independence even after her marriage because she maintained her father's last name. The second seal found in the same area belonged to a man named Sa'aryahu ben Shebenyahu. Archaeologists believe the building where the seals were located served as an administrative center during the Temple era.
They say curiosity killed the cat, and today we have a heartwarming story for you about an overly curious rhino who was thankfully found before he got into too much trouble.
It might sound like the beginning of a children's story, but this week Tibor the rhino made a brief escape from Israel's Ramat Gan Safari Park. Don't worry, the 3-ton male was captured by zookeepers only a few minutes after his getaway. This actually isn't the first time rhinos have wandered out of the zoo. Last year, 3 rhinos made a similar escape when a gate was left open. In this case, it looks like 8-year-old Tibor saw his chance and decided to take a stroll out of the safari's gate. And let's just say it's not easy to catch a runaway rhino. Tibor weighs over 6,000 pounds and he can run about 25 miles an hour. Thankfully, the safari workers were able to catch him and safely escort him back to his home in the park.
It's time for our Hebrew word of the day. Life can be a zoo, and sometimes we all just want to run like Tibor the Israeli rhino. So today's word is gan chayot, which means zoo in Hebrew. Gan chayot is actually a combination of 2 Israeli words. Gan means park and chayot means animals. So when you say zoo in Hebrew, you're essentially saying animal park. Like English speakers, Israeli like to use the word zoo to talk about crazy situations. If you walk into your office and see everyone going crazy and yelling at each other, you can say, "Eze gan chayot," or "What a zoo." I can tell you from first-hand experience that living in Israel sometimes feels like living in a gan chayot. But I guess it's not hard to love animals. So the next time you find yourself in an out-of-control situation, just think of everyone acting like zoo animals. We bet it'll make you feel better. And if things get too aggressive, you can make a run for it like Tibor the rhino. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tuesday is expected to be partly cloudy with a high of 74 degrees. The temperature should jump up to 82 on Wednesday with mostly sunny skies, so take advantage of the day if you have the time to head to the beach. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.91 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tonight.